Hello again, this is Dr. Tony at Chiropractic Clinic. I run the Crooked Spine Show podcast. I'm here with Sasha and Natasha. And Natasha, what I want to do is talk about how do we get ourselves healthy? And these people have done one thing school-wise, but also are active nurses and are in the field for a long time. I mean, in my own personal sense, your job, stay-home moms that have a couple kids, are the hardest jobs out there. Okay, so how do we get, if they understand how to stay healthy with their busy lifestyle and have time to post on social media and help educate their communities online, at that point, how do we understand, how do we do it ourselves, right? How do we keep life simple, but still work our hectic schedules every day and still stay healthy? They've converted their career into now not transitioning, but adding into healthcare coaches and doing it naturally so we can stay well in a natural setting and stay healthy. So introduce yourselves and tell them about yourselves.
So I'm Anastasia.
I'm Sara.
And we're both nurses. We currently work part-time in the operating room, but we are making the transition, the jump to doing health and wellness coaching.
We've been in the operating room for about 10 years. And in our time there, we've loved being in surgery, but just like any other healthcare setting, it's extremely stressful. So we kind of realized that we got to this point where we realized something needed to change.
And it was stressful before the pandemic, of course, but during and hopefully after, we'll see. It's still stressful. It's like you have patients that are really sick, and then even everything from, something like a supply chain issue. But when we kind of sat back and reflected on what we're doing with nursing, we realized like surgery is the last intervention for people. And we're both really passionate about health and wellness in our personal lives. And so we've been thinking for a while, like, how do we help people with wellness and prevention and all the steps that would come along before surgery, before that last intervention.
Yeah. So we
obviously you're living a healthy lifestyle now. You're able to maintain, even though it's stressful, a way to self-care and also enjoy that part of it. A lot of people can't, right? A lot of people can't deal with that.
Yeah.
They either have young kids at home, they have parents, whatever it is, they have their own life and lone lifestyle. They go, man, this is overwhelming. And that's probably why in your field, you see a lot of people, such as mine, is they drop out, they do something else.
Yeah. Exactly. And it's that overwhelming part that people, and that we realize is, when you're at that point where you're overwhelmed and you feel like you don't even have the energy to make the changes that you need to make. And that's where we come in.
I think a lot of it is when you're in it, it's hard to see the bird's eye view of what's going on. Yeah. That's hard to do. So with what's going on right now, and just for my quick story, is I did a talk with a gentleman who's retired back surgeon, and he saw the same thing as is how come I'm getting people last stream down the line when this is their last versus why haven't they been told, taught, or at least looked into something to prevent this? So you're taking people 2 steps ahead and hopefully preventing more surgeries down the line, which they'll find other work. They make enough money as it is, those doctors, right? They're fine, they'll be good. And they have their boats and their yachts are good. But a lot of it is how do we start transitioning the mindset to getting to more wellness wherever. And when I tell people, especially in this pandemic, I don't want you to drop your stress in the sense where I don't want to quit your job. I don't want to kick out the dog. I want you to leave your kids and family. Let's keep that intact. But how do we make sure we can handle that stress of your day, of your week, of your life? All right. So how do we start changing the mindset of someone that is going through that right now? And how do we get them to go, hey, here's your first step. What do we do?
So I think like first steps in realizing is that you don't have to start very big to do things that make an impact. So one of the really simple things that people can do, even just in the moment right now, you can slow down your breathing. And I mean, that's the easiest little trick someone can take with them anytime, anywhere. The literature says if you get down to like 5 to 7 breaths a minute, you can really have that positive effect on your parasympathetic nervous system. But of course, like there's more than just in the moment, but there's a lot of small strategies that people may not know. When you put them all together, they can have a really big impact.
And I think that's the key too, is it's the small strategies and it's the small things you do every day. Because if you just go out and tell someone to make this big change, they're not going to stick to it because it's going to be really overwhelming. So you do have to take those baby steps and you have to celebrate the wins that you have along the way.
it's amazing when people think, I want to lose 30 pounds. They go, 30 pounds versus you can't lose 30 pounds at once. You have to lose them one, I want to say even a quarter pound at a time.
Yeah.
And why not enjoy, like you said, those moments? Okay, I'm now confident I can do that. I can do 1 more pound, maybe 2 more pounds, 3 more pounds. And talk about a second, that stage you mentioned a little bit, is what is the parasympathetic nervous system? How does that work? What are we talking about? How does it affect stress?
Yeah, so we have like our sympathetic and our parasympathetic nervous system, and we have, people are familiar with the fight or flight response.
Rest and digest.
Yeah, rest and digest.
Yeah.
And many people actually really live their lives in a state of like almost chronic stress. And like our nervous system is designed to handle small amounts of stress and then we recover. But a lot of us have small stresses like throughout the day that we don't really get to recover from. And even just thinking about, especially like in our work setting, it's a perfect example. Anybody in healthcare knows that right now. You have small things that
happen sequentially and they keep on happening.
Yeah. And there might not be time otherwise for you to get back to that baseline.
Well, and you said it doesn't have to be, I have to go on a meditation retreat every weekend. No, it's something you can do on a daily basis based on what you're going through to understand that your stress response, your fight or flight. And what happens, does it happen over a period of, say, days, or does it take weeks and months to almost set your body into a stress state? How does that work?
I think for most people in their daily routines, they get there eventually, and then kind of autopilot thinking takes over. They think, okay, I can't really change this. But as far as undoing it, what's kind of been recommended is that if you have small things each day, to sort of take that back down to baseline, you can do that. So that might look like 30 seconds to a minute of pattern breathing in the morning. It might look like listening to to ocean sounds on your lunch break, or like journaling before you go to bed. So you can get back to that baseline by doing the small things during the day. You don't have to go take a vacation for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'll see you guys later. I'm out, family, dog. You can look, you're on your own. No, but it's something like you're saying is keeping it very simple and routine things throughout the day allow you to actually handle that stressors of your day. And the problem is, I think a lot of us may think we know our stress throughout the day. The problem is we have something else hit us. Like, for example, this morning, the smoke alarm, when I started chirping like at 6 in the morning, I'm like, oh, that's something else on my plate to take care of today. But it's like, it's going to happen. But can we, like you were saying, can we get our body to a relaxed state, the opposite of the stress state, and then go into our day that way so we can handle those little stresses that hit us throughout the day and not have our body be affected by that? And what are normal reactions people deal with that you've been seeing? What are their symptoms like? What are their feelings like that if they're in a stress state?
So like feelings that people have, with stress and burnout is like feeling out of control.
They don't have any energy, a lot of fatigue.
Yeah, totally depleted. Like maybe lashing out at people and not feeling like they can stop themselves from doing it.
Feeling like they're spread too thin and they just don't have the energy to do anything.
Right.
How about mood?
Yeah. Like kind of unpredictable moods, and you could be fine 1 minute and kind of lashing out the next.
And what do you think people are doing? What you guys know that do now when they have those stress states, when they're in that stress? What do they normally do?
Well, right now, before trying to do something to manage it, they just kind of let it take its course.
Yeah, some people, watch a lot of Netflix, or
they do things that they think are going to help, but really don't.
Drink a lot of wine.
Yeah.
Or how about medications too? Correct.
Yeah.
When someone's going to surgery, they've already done all these other things. They've dealt with it either on their own, or dealt with through medications and even through counseling. Also, it just isn't working for them. Correct?
Yeah.
And with that too, if we're thinking about breathing, thinking about relaxing, how to meditate, how to listen to ocean sounds, those sensors, how much is physical activity involved in de-stressing our body?
Yeah, so actually, I read something really interesting, and it had to do with like rates of heart rate and VO2 max, and how like exercise, while it can be a stressor to the body, if it is not super intense, it does actually help you recover from stress. So exercise like has its benefits, in the short term while you're doing the exercise as something to deal with it, and in the long term, make you more resilient. But I think the key with the research that I read was that it can't be like super intense, because that can actually raise your cortisol.
Yeah. So something more simple, like just going for a walk.
Not running a marathon every day.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be hit.
Yeah.
or lots of cardio.
Every
You
day.
can do the yoga, you could do the Pilates, you could do the strength training.
Yeah.
It's finding I think it's finding a way to lower those stress hormones, like you mentioned, cortisol, stress hormones, catecholamines. At that point, you're going to increase the serotonin, endorphins, so your body can hormonally and overall feel better. Correct?
Yeah,
exactly. That's why you go work out, because like I don't care about the workout. The workout's going to suck. But can we feel better afterwards? At that point, I'm like, okay, now I'm cheery again. You know?
Yeah.
I think when people realize that, how do we get people to shift their mindset? Hey, this is going to help me if I work out. Versus some people, they'll start but never really continue to see that benefit.
Yeah, so we had sort of an interesting story with our workout journey. We eventually found something that really worked for us, and it's, there's so many fitness industry trends and myths and things that people like to say, no pain, no gain.
No rest days.
Yeah, no rest days. You have to burn 1 million calories or it doesn't really count. So the workout that we do, it's called Evlo Fitness, and it was designed by a physical therapist. And she kind of takes all of that away. You start with breath work. You have like a little bit of mindfulness as you get into the session.
Robust warm up and cool down. So you're actually like ready out.
Yeah, much longer than people normally would,
Well, 30 seconds is good, right? It's gotta go.
Yeah, it's like several minutes.
Yeah.
So it primes your nervous system, gets you into that state. And recovery is also like so important. I think that's really undervalued in like the fitness world. And so when people think that they just have to go all out and kind of like destroy their body to see results, it's like, of course they're not going to want to do it or see any benefit, and they're not going to stick with it.
And how do you spell it again?
It's Evlo, Evlo. It's by Dr. Shannon Ritchie. So she's a physical therapist who designed the program.
Perfect. I'm gonna put in the show notes still, but I'm writing the show notes up. Want to remind me later to kind of add that to the show notes itself, the copyright too.
Yeah, we recommend it to everybody.
Yeah.
Well, and do you do that every day then, or because with your busy schedules, you can't really go? I can't go to a class at 9:15 every day.
Exactly. Yeah.
And it's
I
also
have 2 hours to kill.
Yeah, and it's all online, and they have like mini workouts that you can do. They're like 15, 20 minutes long. So if you only have a few minutes, you can do a shorter one. So we usually do a couple during the week and then kind of do the longer ones on the weekends. But we also, again, back to the mindset, like we're not going to punish ourselves if we don't do a workout on a day where we thought we were going to work out.
Isn't that it's huge, right? If we feel guilty, I ate good all week, but now I had a pizza. Life's over. I can't diet anymore. My diet's done. We're done. Or I've got to work out on Tuesday. So it's going to. Now I can no longer gain muscle. No. But I think people have that if you want to call it that, I want to call it guilt, or that even that anxiety. Well, it's over. I'm done. Yeah. It's almost in their mind a relief because they don't want to go through the stress of getting to a healthier state.
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like, it's like that all or nothing mindset. It's like, lack versus abundance. It's like you're coming from this place that's really negative. And that's also kind of like when you really work on stress, it's so important to reframe your mindset and realize, like when you're in a state where you're really stressed all the time, it literally changes like your focus and your attention and your emotional regulation. And you don't see things as opportunities, you see things as threats. So I mean, that's part of like, the more we talk, it's just so clear with everything. Like stress, really, you have to look at it from like a whole body, like whole brain, whole mind kind of standpoint, and then you can feel like you have the tools to.
Well, a lot of it is too, when you're in a stress state, your body's telling you you've made that your normal state, so now you don't want to move because moving feels bad. You don't want to eat better because it feels different. It feels bad. It feels uncomfortable. I tell my patients, if you're not uncomfortable going through something, your body's not going to change physiologically. So you have to feel that uncomfortable level. How long does it take, do you think, are you guys working with clients to get that body and mindset to change? What does it take normally for someone to go through that?
I think for a mindset shift, probably like at least a good few weeks to kind of get used to new ways of thinking, rewire those patterns. There's like a lot of reflection and evaluation of yourself. Like, so in our training in coaching, we're trained as nurse coaches through the American Holistic Nurses Association, is the accrediting body. This field, basically, you learn how to talk to people and really get into those deep questions, help them find their internal motivation, help them do a lot of reflection of their, kind of reframing certain beliefs, because people have a lot of limiting beliefs, and even in really like in regards to your health, they think, oh, I can't change this. I've always been this way, or this is just part of my personality, or my whole family's this way, so just must be, how it's going to be. None of
those. It's almost like they made that their truth, so it can never be changed. It's rock solid. I can't. Yes, you can, but it's that idea. Hey, how do I do this now? Do you also look for people to ask certain questions, or how they talk, or what words they use? Like you mentioned, limiting words versus words that things about more open allows them to actually, hey, if I use these words instead, allows them to get to a better state of health.
Yeah.
And one thing too, I was gonna say earlier, a lot of when we talk about mindset, I did talk with a guy a couple weeks ago. I did like monthly with him. Like you had mentioned too, it's finding your why, correct? Yeah. Why do you want to lose weight? Why do I want to be healthy? Why do you want to be less stressed? How does it affect? What's the effect of that? Are you going to be happier? You're going to be happy with, say, your family, kids, and or dog. A lot, because I love dogs. That's just me. That's why I say dogs all the time. A lot of it is, how do we get our outside work area happier by being happier? If you want to call it, like you had mentioned, self-care and a daily little things here and there. So we go home happy versus being like, here's another day. I'm done. Leave me alone. Give me a glass of wine. I like red. White's not good. Only red.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
And it's all about that why, because that's the why is the motivation for why they're going to either.
And do you have people write things down, or is it more verbal, or what works best for people?
We do recommend writing it down. I mean, some people, like, at first they like really don't like the idea of like journaling or whatever, but once people actually start doing it, they're like, oh no, writing it down is helpful. Taking it from your brain and putting it on paper is really helpful.
It's that magic that we all learned, because I'm prehistoric. We only had paper and pen when I was in school. So how do we use that magic of learning that we learned, and or using your phone, putting in your notepad?
Yeah.
Not every day. I do most of the stuff that I don't even have paper anymore for the most part. But can we look at something every day and have I want to call it a mantra that we start our day with, that we end our day with, that we have, look at it, okay, if I feel off, we go to back here, reset my mindset until, like you had mentioned, Anastasia, the 3 or 4 weeks it takes to get your body to reset itself and back to that state. Also, switching gears too, you guys work really well as a team. Okay. How much does accountability with an accountability partner help with coaching?
It helps a lot. And I mean, that's what it starts out at. When you're working with a coach, sometimes a lot of the accountability does start because you are checking in with that person. But as you're working with the coach, you do find, like, you're not going to work with a coach for forever. So you do have to find, maybe someone else in your life or another kind of motivating factor that gets you that accountability.
Yeah, and it's about creating that, like Sara said, that plan. So it starts out with a lot of the high level, one-on-one support with people. But since they're not going to be with us for the rest of their lives, it's really about teaching them how to identify their resources, whatever that looks like for them, so that they can, create this plan, reach their goals, and really like maintain them for the rest of their life.
Well, you mentioned too accountability. I use the word in a fun way, peer pressure.
Yeah.
I work out with a group of probably about 6-7 people in the morning every day. There's 2 classes, 5-15, and a little bit of time after that too. If someone texts the night before in the group text, I'm not going to make it tomorrow, like, get your butt there tomorrow for sure. Come on. We sometimes use other words too, but allows you to realize, hey, look, they're just trying to keep you motivated, When you have those group of friends or family that you can trust to help you motivate, not demotivate you, allows you to now work with someone. Hey, look, I'm going to get here. I'm going to stay here. The problem is, I think a lot of us, we're not trained coaches. We didn't go through a training program, and then realize if we're a professional nurse, doctor, whatever it is, that's my profession. I've learned that. Now I have to relearn how to deal with my stress of my day by learning these techniques, these small things, and keeping them in the top of my mind so I don't feel stressed all day.
Yeah, totally. I
Mhm.
mean, I don't think nurses and doctors, I mean, we didn't learn much about stress management in nursing school.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's called a cup of coffee. You
Yeah.
take a nap when you put it in, right?
Yeah. Coffee IV.
Yeah.
Yes, it works. It works sometimes for a while, but it depends. You're going to burn yourself out. That's the problem. I think a lot of you deal with too, especially in your profession, is people are burned out. And they're not going to say, "Hey, I'm burned out. I'm done. I
Yeah.
still have to work another 20 years,
Yeah.
or 15 years. I still have to pay my bills."
Totally.
To that point, how do we how do we get people to stay in their profession, but stay healthy at the same time?
Yeah. So I think that's where
Yep. Go ahead. Sorry.
that's good. A lot of the tools that and techniques that we've been learning, we feel like can really be awesome for, whether we're working with just general people from our community, or even other nurses, in order to like help nurses stay well and resilient and to feel like they can better deal with the stresses of their day. I think it's just coming back to that like whole body standpoint. Like there's interventions, associated with stress, but they're all different lifestyle interventions too. So it's kind of like, it's really hard to separate one thing from another. You can't really say, I'm going to fix my stress if you don't fix these other things too. But obviously that's a big undertaking, and kind of, life-changing for people. So if they do have some support, whether it's like, working one-on-one with a coach, or whether they are in a group or even just a community.
They have a friend who they share the same goal that they both want to work on.
Yeah. Sort of.
Positive peer pressure. That's the plan.
Yeah.
Well, I think when you talk about nurses too in general, like you said, you work with a lot of them, is they love their profession. They love taking care of people, love taking care of people. But now their burnout, their stress levels so high that balance isn't there anymore. So they're being told by someone, hey, look, quit your job. Your job's causing you stress.
Yeah.
When I tell people it's not the job causing stress, it's you being able to deal with that stressor that you had, same stressor 3 years ago, but everybody can't deal with that level of stress.
Right.
And you can't pour from an empty cup, so you have to take care of yourself so that you can manage it.
Yeah, and nurses are like notorious for not taking care of themselves because they're worried about taking care of other people.
Yes, and that works for a while. Then all of a sudden, like, okay, now why am I having this heart palpitation? Now why am I on medications that I tell my patients not to take? What's
Yeah.
going on here?
Yeah.
They sometimes just wake up and go, okay, this is it, I'm done. And with nurses, 'cause I don't know, is there a big, if you want to call it anxiety, depression issue too building up?
I think so.
I think so, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I feel like, especially a lot of people that we know in the nursing field that we work with, yeah, we do. And the anxieties are about different things, but we all do have some form of like anxiety when it comes to work, and it's only been worse since the pandemic and everything.
Yes.
Healthcare, yeah, but yeah, there definitely is a lot of anxiety and depression.
And going from that to, how do you get people to realize, hey, like once I get there, if you start a self-care program, it may take you a few weeks to get comfortable, get things going, but when you start these like you're talking about now, Sara Anastasia allows people to realize, I may not feel it tomorrow. It may take me a few weeks to get to where I need to get to, but can I start today and realize I just need time to get my body to a healthier state? And do you guys worry a lot on people's diets too?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, one thing, as we were talking about different parts of your lifestyle, like the word anti-inflammatory sort of sums up a lot. It can be literal, it can be, more of a metaphor, but especially like when you're talking about stress, but it includes what we eat. Like if we have a diet full of processed junk food and too much sugar,
Mhm.
like it causes inflammation like at that cellular level, but it's also like you're not giving your body what it needs to be healthy and resilient. So any way that we can, support your body being healthy, like including, nutrition, that's so important.
Well, a lot of it is too, if when we're in a stress state, we're going to gravitate toward those inflammatory foods.
Yes.
Okay. Cheetos, French fries. You like French fries?
French fries.
Yes.
I love French fries. I love them.
Yeah. We are real people.
Yes, right? But can we not do them every day, every 3 times a day? No.
Yeah.
But can we find foods that are healthier for us, that help bring the inflammatory state down so our stress levels are down too. Again, that's more long-term thinking. How do we change that part of our lifestyle, which does little things too? You mentioned also exercise too. How is sleep involved in helping our body get to a healthier state?
Sleep is huge.
I feel like we think it's probably one of the biggest foundational items, really. Like in terms of, you know, it affects like every body system. And a lot of people think, you know, people think, oh, I only need 5 hours. You know, we hear people say stuff like,
oh, I only slept 4 hours last night. I'm like,
yes, whatever.
In our profession, it's just so undervalued, but people don't realize that like sleep can affect your heart. It affects your hunger. It affects
your emotions.
Yeah, your emotions. Like we had listened to this podcast, Matthew Walker, who's a sleep expert, and he calls sleep an emotional first aid kit. A lot of people might not think sleep has anything to do with their emotions. They might say, oh, I'm tired if I don't sleep, but they, you know, might not realize like it can literally, you know, affect your emotions like that.
Well, a lot of it is too, what you're talking about too, to add to it, when your body has less sleep, you go into that fight or flight again, right? In that stress state. You kick off that stress hormones. Now you fed the whole system over and over again. How do you get people to, especially in your field too, to get into a good sleep cycle? What's a good technique to use, or good that you help some of your clients?
We do talk about like winding down.
Yeah, well, winding down. And the key really to making any of these changes, first of all, is balance and progress over perfection. So we're not going to be able to do all these things at once because it might be too much for people. So you want to establish a sleep routine that's going to work for you. And what I like to do with some of my clients is, okay, let's actually come up with 3 routines. Let's do one where you know you have enough time, you're going to get everything done. Let's do one where, you know what, I really don't feel like sticking to this tonight. What's the simplest thing I can do? And then kind of a medium ground. But some things that we should always be doing. You want to start winding down about an hour before bed. No electronics before bed. It's really, you know, a lot of people are in the habit of scrolling on their phone before they go to bed.
Yeah, that's their wind down.
That's their wind down routine.
It's scrolling.
Which is not a wind down routine.
No. Yeah.
And
education around that.
Exactly. Yeah. And then blue light blocking, whether you actually turn that feature on your phone to turn off the blue light, or wearing blue light glasses.
And another thing about the blue light is that also kind of want to make sure you're not in bright light, because if white light, if it's bright enough, can have the same effect as blue light. So,
are you talking about this for kids, correct? Not for adults?
No,
for everybody.
For everybody, yeah. So you want to do the blue light, either glasses, or set it on your phone.
And you want to try and also limit caffeine. After.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is you're giving people, humans need this, not just kids, not just our kids or those kids, millennials, blah, blah, whatever people call them. But a lot of it is we allow our body to now shut itself down slowly. It can't just turn off. It's not a computer.
Yeah.
So can we do that slowly? And at that point, see the benefit of, hey, now get into the deep delta REM sleep faster where I can recharge versus in alpha sleep the whole time. I'm sleeping awake. I'm like, okay, that was worth it. I could just stay up to 4 hours. I'd be fine.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people we talk to, like when we bring up winding down or you know, a bedtime routine, like you said, maybe people think of little kids, but I mean, like most people don't even have any sort of wind down routine, and then they wonder why they can't fall asleep.
Well, and a lot of us do. And do you recommend people to say read a book, but on a laptop or an iPad, or some doesn't matter?
No, I mean it should be on paper.
If at all possible.
Yeah. I know I did have a client who that wasn't really an option for her. Depending on like when her and her partner would sleep at different times. But
she couldn't have the lights.
She couldn't have the lights on. So you can't really like read in the dark. So then you do need to use
like little headlamp or something. I don't know.
Yeah. But so, and then if that's the case, and if you don't have the option of paper, then you know, make sure you have the blue light blocking feature turned on, or wearing glasses, turn the brightness down on your screen, or you could even listen to an audiobook. You know, then you're not actually looking at the screen and you're just listening to it.
But I think too, the other part of it is like just not scrolling something that is endlessly going to refresh and switch context and give you, you know, like social media, for instance.
Is there ever does Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram ever have an end?
Right. Yeah. No.
I mean, and that's the thing. Yeah, you get to that point where like, oh, you're all caught up, and then you go up, and then there's a new post. So
it's never over.
They want you to stay on the app as long as possible. So, I mean,
Well, and also too, I think you had mentioned too, the blue light, by having that and winding yourself down, now you're not decreasing your melatonin either. So now your body can actually go to sleep.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes.
And another thing we like to do is also like the same kind of pattern breathing exercises you can do at any other time of the day. You can do before you go to bed too. You know, you can spend 30 seconds. Like, who doesn't have 30 seconds? Even if people think they're busy, they say, "Oh, I do have 30 seconds." You know.
Oh, you don't have 30 seconds. You're that special. No, you're not.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There's a breathing pattern that's pretty famous, the 4-7-8. That is supposed to be very good for winding down. So you inhale for 4 counts, you hold for 7, which can be kind of long, and then you exhale for 8. So
when you exhale, you kind of blow out like
like
you're going through a straw.
Yeah, because it'd be very hard to do a long exhale if you're not,
And what's that called?
So it's just called 4-7-8.
4-7-8. Okay.
We had Dr. Andrew Wheel. He's in lifestyle medicine, and he's associated with a university in Arizona. But anyways, I think technically he came up with that. But a lot of people use it, the 4-7-8.
Well, a lot of it is you're giving people a ways to, not only you're going to do these things, but also here's some of the research behind it also.
Yes, absolutely. There's so much I think that has come out, and people just maybe in the past thought, oh, stress, like I kind of thought this until I delved into this. Oh, that's just part of my personality. You know, I can't really do anything about that. But there's so much science in wellness, and it's really fascinating. Like a book that we go to a lot, it's called Stress Proof. And the doctor who wrote it, her name is Matu Staroni. And she essentially took the results of 1,000 research papers and
on stress.
Yeah, on stress and like interventions with stress, condensed them down into, something very actionable. So there's endless techniques in there for.
Why do you think people are gravitating to more of these books, looking for people like yourselves? Why do you think that's happening?
Well, I think there's an overload of information. Like people, it's not that they don't have information. They don't now. There's so much information they don't know where to go. They want to go to somebody credible. They want to know
that they can trust them in the information they're presenting.
Yeah, and that they've actually been trained, and they're not just somebody who's like posting, things on the internet. Because I mean, you see things on Instagram, and you don't have to use APA format for that. So you want to know that
you're a credible source.
Yeah.
And you know what you're talking about.
That you're connecting with somebody. And also I think people feel really good when they know that, this has been tested on people. There's real results. There's real science behind it.
It gives a lot of people, I'm not just going to Google and going, what do I have going on? I feel all the time come in. I think you have a tumor, doctor. I'm like, why do you think you have a tumor now? Because I saw it on Instagram, or I saw it on research this. I'm like, that's good, but let me tell you exactly what it is. But when you have like you're doing now with your social media, with your Instagram especially, you put information out there that lets people go, this is what it is, what's going on. Now I can ask questions to these two ladies, or I can do my own research also.
Yes.
I think that's part of it too.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You're doing a good job getting, and I mean, my thing as I applaud both of you ladies, is you're doing a good job getting information out there on your free time, which I know is valuable and limited, to get your word out there more, which really helps people understand and get interested into more of a healthy healthcare, wellness, life. Like you said, life. What's your website called?
livewellandwhole.com.
Yeah.
Livewellandwhole.com allows them to now go there and go, now what else can I ask? How do you're getting the ball rolling for people so they actually see that, which is phenomenal. It's great.
Thank you.
Good. Anything I missed on our first show together, your first show, that you want people to hear or talk about?
Well,
I think we covered.
I think we covered a lot of ground. But just to circle back, I mean, we enjoy really working with people one-on-one. In the future, we will have group programs in the works, and we're really about progress over perfection. The consistency for the win, and
celebrating the small wins.
Yes. And like having that support, and, really working with somebody in a personalized, individualized way. So you're not just going to get the same advice that everybody else would get. And, just like the magic of coaching is really like the person, the client is in the driver's seat. You're working with them, and that's really where the magic of change happens.
Well, plus you're not going to be working one-on-one, you're working two-on-one.
Right.
It's two people, not one people. But it allows you to have two people working with you and giving that accountability to go, hey, look, we're going to help you get through this because we want you to succeed. And we're not going to let you fail.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
All right. In the show notes, I have all of their links for Sara and Anastasia. They're phenomenal. Like I said before, genuinely, they are phenomenal at their posts for one, too. They keep going and going. I don't know how they sleep. But they figure it out. Okay. So should connect with them, guys. See what's going on. At that point, ask them questions. Go on their Instagram. You'll find it in the show notes, too. If you're on Instagram, you'll see their feed like at least 5 times a day. I don't know what they do. I don't know what they do. Thanks for being on the show, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I'm gonna go out of the show, then we'll talk a little bit more.
Okay.